Everybody, welcome to Fit Tip Tuesday. This week I'm starting a mini series on DIY sports bra. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want to spend $70 on my next sports bra. And I'm not really a bra making expert. However, I have gotten pretty good at fitting, and I feel like I could take apart my existing sports bra and make it into a pattern to sew up a new one. So that's what I'm going to start working on today. And you can see in front of me here, this is the bra that I have been wearing for a while, and it's starting to show wear. For example, over here you can see there's a hole. There's a couple things about this bra that I do not love. For some reason they decided to design the strap so it comes in, so it dips in at the top of the shoulder. And I really don't see any purpose for that. All it does is show through in my neckline. I'm not a fan of that. So the cool thing is if I take this apart and make it into a pattern, then I can make it any shape I want. The other thing I don't like is this elastic here that reaches around to the back. It's in pretty good condition. So I've used my seam ripper to separate it from the back end of the sports bra. But I don't like this feature of this adjustable clip because they slide down. And it occurred to me that I could probably just tack it in the length I want. But in making my new bra, I think I'm going to get rid of this whole assembly here and just make it the length I know is comfortable for me, so it won't be adjustable and then it won't slide down. I carefully picked out off the pieces that were the hooks and eyes because they're in relatively almost perfect condition. The eyes are in perfect condition, so all I really have to do is reinsert my new end of my bra in there and sew that shut. On the hook end, it's almost in perfect condition. This hook right here is a little bit coming apart. So I'm going to show you how to use a hand needle and fix that. So I've saved that so I don't have to purchase a new hook and eye assembly. I'm just going to put that aside for now so I don't lose it. From here to here, this fabric really does not stretch. Okay, maybe it has a little mechanical stretch, but it does not stretch. The elastic that's sewn onto it does stretch here, so I really don't see the need for that. And I don't know what I'm going to do for the bottom band yet, but I'm thinking about it. The back part of the bra does stretch, so the elastic works with that to help fit it. So I'm going to take that into consideration. And so that's where I am. I'm going to start by, matter of fact, I don't even think I need to fuss with this because I know it's longer than I need because I kept doubling it up to be, the length I needed. I think what I'm going to do is just take it out of this plastic thing, whatever, I don't even know what that's the official name of that is, and I'm just going to cut this off. Okay, so I'm going to reuse this elastic because it's got the plush side, and it really is in good condition. I mean, this really, I'm going to just finish picking out the wrong side of the cover hem on this side, and I'm going to repurpose that. What's left here, I'm just going to use my scissors and cut it apart. I'm not going to I don't think I'm going to reuse this elastic, but I'm not sure. So to start out, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut right along the top edge of it because I'm not really sure. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut apart these pieces, and that means I'm going to have to add the seam allowances back in because you can see here Oh, that's cool. The fabric was actually stuck in the middle. That's actually cool. I'm going to take a closer look at that because it looks like the end of the fabric is actually in between a double-faced elastic here. That's very cool. I'm going to investigate that farther. See how it looks like it's in there? I'm going to investigate that farther. But for now, I'm just going to cut it off right along the edge because basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting off the seam allowance.
All right, so I'm just using my scissors here. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna maybe pick apart this zigzag stitch. Let's just do it a little bit. I just want to see what happens when I take this out. Yeah, that's what it is. The fabric is actually inserted. That's actually very cool. Maybe I'll take the time to take this apart. I'm not going to do it on camera though. I'm going to take this apart and maybe I will reuse this elastic because that's actually a very cool feature. And maybe what I can do is just use this elastic, you know, in the back where it needs to stretch and put something else here for the band that doesn't necessarily need to stretch. So maybe I will actually use some of this. I'm going to go ahead and take this out and I'll show you next week when I show you how I'm going to sew it together. So I'll worry about that part later. So now we've cut the whole bottom off, which allows us to see the inside of the sports bra before we go any farther. And what they did to make the construction a little bit more stable is it looks like they fused or just added some heavy duty stay tape to all of the seams. So that's how part of how they keep the shape. I think that's very cool. So looking at it from the top, I think let's start on one end. Now the cool thing is I only have to cut half of this apart, right? Because once I get to the halfway point, I can use half the pieces to make the pattern and then I can cut out two of everything. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry about this binding. I can replace that. So I'm just going to use my scissors and I'm going to cut, let's cut the back portion off. And I'm going to cut right on the intersection, like right on the seam. So I know I can add my seam allowances back in. All right, so see, this is going to be one of the pieces. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off actually because what it's doing is it's drawing that in. So I'm just going to cut it off for the purposes of making a pattern piece. Okay, and then I'm just going to even this up. These little parts dangling here, those are the seam allowances that I had to ruin when I was taking off that elastic earlier. All right, so this is one piece right here. I'm just going to put this to the side. Then the next step is I'm going to, all right, let's start right here. And I'm just going to cut this elastic off here. Well, I might as well just cut all the way up and just do that. I'm cutting right at the base of the zigzag. All right, and then I'm going to cut it off here. All right, so this is my strap that I'm going to deal with later. I'll just leave that right there for now. And I'm going to... the next thing I'm going to cut apart is, okay, this is interesting. The lining, like a lot of linings, doesn't have the same seam detail. So I'm going to separate that off first. So let me cut across the top edge right here. And again, I'm just cutting right along the elastic. And when I get to the center, let me just see here. I got to cut this one a little bit deeper. All right. All right, so I'm at the center now. So let's separate this first. Is this gonna lay nice and flat? So you can see that this fabric has been traumatized. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to actually use that as a pattern piece because it's not laying flat. All right, so let's look at this for a second. This is the lining piece. Let me see. I don't think I can get that to lay flat. You can see that's been stretched out. So I don't know if that's going to be a usable piece or not. But I'm going to put that aside for now. I don't know. Probably I won't be able to use that. All right, let's go back here. I'm going to cut this piece off all the way to the center.
And then let's go right across the bottom here. Alright, and then I'm just going to go a little bit past center here. I'm just going to cut it off like this so I have the center point. So see, now I know this piece is shaped like that. And I can certainly, make a full front from this.
But you can see this does lay flat, so I'll be able to make a pretty accurate pattern piece out of this. The other thing I want to mention is this is right out of the washer and dryer. So before I started working with it, I gave it a good wash and dry so it would shrink down to probably it's closer to its original shape. All right, so now let's cut this side piece. All right, so this piece, what we're going to do is I'm just going to put this aside. I'm going to put it right here. We'll line them all up after I get them all separated. Now I'm going to cut down the center front. And the cool thing is I won't have to worry about this half of the bra. I'm not going to throw it away just yet because just in case something happens to my other pieces. But I'm almost done cutting apart this. So let me just cut this cup apart now. All right, so let me just see something here. Oh, you know what, I need a... All right, so before I start cutting anymore, I'm gonna actually put this back together for a second. I just realized I'm cutting this apart and I'm not making any notation on it. So let me just go get a pen. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually make some notches. So this needs to go together here and here. This is where the seam is, so I'll put a notch here. And then it fits up to the top. So I wanna make sure I can sew it together. So I should have been doing that all along. So make sure you notch it. So this will go with this, and then that will match there. And then let's put some doubles in here, just so we have it. So definitely remember to mark your notches, because otherwise it's going to get confusing as to how to put it back together. Before I cut this apart anymore, let me just put let me just do this. All right, so see, this is where this will be, like that. And then right here is where the tip of the gray will be. And I can make a note of that. Gray, oops, gray, that's where the gray meets. so I've got my notches. So the gray meets there, and then it goes up to right here. So right here is where that goes to, and then that becomes the side. Let's look at this other side so you can see that's where the side of the bra is. Okay, and then that's where the bound edge is. All right, so now at least I have guides here. So this is where the green matches up. Put a thing there. So this is here and this is here. All right. So now let me cut this apart. All right, so now I have all my pieces. Let's see what they look like. So this is the center front right here. This is the side front. This is the under piece. This is the little side accent piece. And this is the back. And this part right here, this is interesting with it laying flat like this because the way it becomes a cup is that when this is sewn together, this part gets sewn onto here. And this top part here continues this edge. So it looks kind of funny now. I'm going to label this as my center front. This is my, I'll call this my middle front. And this is my side front. That's what creates the cup. And then this is the band that goes there, and this is the back. All right, so this is really exciting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the pattern pieces, and I think I'm going to do them one at a time. So I'm going to get this to lay as flat as possible. And so I'm going to put my tracing paper like this, and I'm going to use my little brass weights. And then I'm just going to trace right along the outside edge. Like this. I'm letting the pencil just run right along the ridge of the fabric. And then I want to make sure I put any notches. So I have 2 notches here, and I have 2 notches there. Okay, and I'm just going to make a note on here that this is my center front. That's my center front. This is my neckline edge. Okay, and this is my bottom edge. Okay, just to give myself some reference, because once you cut these things apart, it makes this weird shape, and then, you know, you want to make sure you know what you're looking at. So I'm just going to use my curved ruler. Use this one because I have it handy, just to make nice smooth edges now. The trick to using a curved ruler is to find the part of the curve on the ruler that agrees with the curve that you're trying to create. So instead of doing this and then sort of, rotating your ruler to match, find the part on the ruler that matches your curved line. Then it becomes one continuous, line. And then of course, for my straight edges, I'm just going to do this. Here, center front. We're going to cut 2. Okay, and then the other thing I want to do is I want to add my seam allowances. I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch on this. I'll see how I like that when I start working with it. Okay. All right, so this completes this piece. This is all done. All right, so now I'm just going to stick that over to the side and I'll do the rest of the pieces the exact same way. All right, so here are my pattern pieces that I traced and added seam allowances to: my center front, middle front, side front, back. Now what I want to do is just deal with the strap. I'm not going to cut apart the strap any more than it is because it's giving us some information that will help me when I put it back together. This length right here is the length of basically the armhole. I guess this would be part of the armhole right here. So from here to here is from here to here. So I'm going to keep that intact like this just so I have a reference. So when I trace this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to also redesign this because I don't like that curve. So this is my bottom edge right here. Okay, and then it does this kind of a thing. And then up at the top, this is where it ends right here. Right here. And then this is the other part of the strap. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've got the basic length of it, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it I'm just going to make it a nice, just a gentle curve like this. So this is going to be my new front strap. All right. Now at the top here, I haven't decided exactly what's going to happen because here I needed a big long piece to double it, to flip that down for this ring. I'm not going to put a ring there. So I'm just going to give myself a 1/2 inch allowance here. And then I'll see what I want to do once I start to put it together. Let me just add my 3/8 everywhere else. All right, so this is my front strap. Okay, so there's that. All right, so I've got all my pieces, all my pattern pieces made. The next step is going to be to cut it out and try it. I'm wearing one of my new raglans with the short sleeves. This is my raglan top with, I did a short sleeve version. And the cool thing about this knit is it only has mechanical stretch going vertically on here, and the horizontal stretch is minimal. So I think what I'm going to do, since I have a lot of big scraps of this fabric. I'm going to cut my first bra out of this knit just to try it out to see how it's going to work. So join me next week for Fit Tip Tuesday when I show you how to cut out and sew the pieces together.